When I was a young kid, that was a long time ago, I liked this little show called Sesame Street. And in particular, I liked all the characters like Oscar the Grouch and Elmo, but one in particular, 6 foot tall, three-fingered paws, ball of sunshine, uh, Big Bird. And he always made me smile as a kid. And if you don't know Big Bird, I'm going to introduce him to you today. Now, I know our youth have been dismissed, and probably many of them don't know Big Bird, but if anybody was ever designed to soar and fly to high heights, it was Big Bird. I mean, he had a huge wingspan, he had giant feathers, but he had zero flight experience. Big Bird never really was able to get off the ground. And this morning, I wanted to share not just a Big Bird message, but about another character that possibly you didn't know, who was introduced in November of 1971. So I was 4 years old, and this guy comes on this, well, he's kind of snuffs and sloths and makes his way on the scene. And maybe you know him. Some would say maybe, is he a giant anteater? Is he a woolly mammoth? Is he a bison, a brontosaurus? Like, what is this? And this is Snuffleupagus. This is Snuffy. And this was Big Bird's friend. And I learned friendship at an early age watching a lot of Sesame Street because I watched these two get along. They share in common that they're the two biggest characters on Sesame Street. One had a lot of fur, one had a lot of feathers, but I'm thankful for their friendship and what they communicated to me as a young boy because it helps me know that I need a friend and that I have a lot of them. And I look around this room today, of course, these that stood before you this morning, but the others, like each of you on this Thanksgiving, if I could just have a Big Bird moment and just say, thanks for being my Snuffleupagus. Thanks for the way that you are helping Gateway know, grow, and go. I wanted to finish our series, the Unfettered Sermon Series, on this Thanksgiving week with some thoughts about gratitude. And I'm going to be using the yellow feather that possibly you sat on and you thought, why is there yellow feathers? Was Big Bird plucked earlier today? Did he get in a fight? Like, what happened? But for those of you that have a yellow feather, this will make sense hopefully in a few moments. But let me start with what unfettered means, because you haven't possibly been on this journey with us, because we've been in and out of cages, we've had chains fall off, we've had amazing things that have taken place. But it's helpful sometimes to start just back at the beginning with a definition for what unfettered means. Not controlled or restricted, free, unrestrained, unbound, unhindered, able to rise. It has been my prayer and our leadership's prayer that the month of November in particular, leading up to the holidays, would be an unfettered season, that we would spiritually begin to find our flight, begin to not just flap around, but to soar again. That we maybe wouldn't just look like a big bird that can't fly, but that we become the birds that God's made us to be, and that we'd soar. And so I wanted to just give you a recap, and some of you are like, man, I'm just going to come to the final Sunday of each of the series because then I just get all of it in one little recap, and I don't need to come to all the other Sundays. Well, I would encourage you to go back and watch, but in week 1, we learned that we are redeemed to soar, and I encourage you to not be a chicken, but to be an eagle. You can go back and you can find out more about that, but then in week 2, boy, Pastor Kim did an incredible job talking about free slaves. This, how are we slaves, but how are we free? And man, what's going on in 1 Peter 2, as servants of God, live as free people. Do not use your freedom as a pretext for evil. And she told us to hold fast to faith. And well, you got to go back and listen to that one. And then in week 3, we talked about freedom has wings. And we had birds that were everywhere and birds that were flying. And I said something that after I kind of went back and watched it, needed to share a confession or, I don't know if it's repentance, but an apology. Because I said something that wasn't quite accurate or true or right. And I want to, as your shepherd, as your pastor, to be able to share things that are accurate and that are right. I said, and I meant it not in a poor way, but in a good, big, God be the glory way, that Jesus is bigger than the law. Right? And well, yeah, but what I tried to create was that not an either or and communicate at all that you should stop obeying the law. Well, I got Jesus. I don't need to obey the law. And he's bigger than the law. He's better than the law. And I kind of went down that trail a little bit and alluded to that. I just wanted to kind of correct that and be able to say, Jesus fulfilled the law. That's more accurate. And that's just mo better right there, okay? Now, I know in the Old Testament, there's a lot that's concealed. But hallelujah for the New Testament because it is revealed. There's stuff that is like veiled and we don't quite see it all. It's this foreshadowing, if you will, for the New Testament. But freedom, friends, we don't have to wait for because Jesus came to fulfill the law and we have Jesus in our midst today. So my title this morning, let's get to it, is that, here's what I'm going to suggest in my title this morning, Gratitude Through Triumphs. No, that's too easy. I would like to suggest that there's a possibility for gratitude through troubles. And that we can be grateful people whether we're up or down, highs of life, lows of life, triumphs or tragedies, in crisis and in chaos or in great celebration. He reigns and we can be grateful people. And so this morning, my big idea is that trouble may press you, but gratitude lifts you. Because freedom starts inside you. I have Jesus the Emmanuel inside of us. And when we have him in us, and he's not just rearranging the furniture, but he's helping us grow in our character, we can become more and more like him. And so when things press in on us, it actually then is an ability for gratitude to come up out of us, right? And some of us have got some stuff in life that make it tough to be able to praise him because it's like, whoa, so many troubles. Whoa, so many crises. Whoa, so much chaos. I would like to suggest today that when we walk out of here in just a few moments, you will be lighter. That your feather, if you will begin to flap. Because life hits us with troubles and loss and discouragement. And sometimes suddenly we just feel like the wings that God gave us get just folded up and we just can't quite get it going. We stop soaring and we just start waddling around. And that's not God's intention for us, to not make us waddlers. Now, I'm a big duck fan, but I have not used duck as an illustration or a metaphor to be like, other than maybe to let it just go off like a duck's head, duck's back. We should let stuff just go off like that. But we're not just called to just waddle around. And I don't know what a duck really looks like when it waddles, but probably not like that. But we are called to soar and be the eagles. And so today's message is about learning to lean on Jesus. How many would say today, I could probably learn to lean on Jesus a little bit more this November, this holiday week? Here we go, Thanksgiving. How many today would be willing to just stand where they're at? And this is a little bit rhetorical, but to stand where you're at if you have the opportunity with a mic and be able to share your crisis, your trial, your trouble, the thing that's just you're facing that you just don't know how you're going to get through this obstacle. Maybe it's a loss, and you just want to share that for everybody to know. That's not our tendency. We don't like to share our troubles. We're more apt to share our triumphs. You just watch the news, and we see tragedy globally. These are wicked times. I'm not just talking about the movie that came out this weekend. There is evil and wickedness and serious chaos that's happening globally. And this is why we need to know who we are in Christ and be able to soar for him and his glory, because what the world needs now is love, but it's about us sharing the love of Jesus with our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers, everybody. We get to share Jesus with everybody. And sometimes we think that that's easier to be able to share with our friends, and I encourage you to do that. Who's your Snuffy? Snuffleupagus. Who's your big bird? I wanted to pause in light of this week and just share a story that I am a little bit reticent to share because it strikes an emotional chord in me, and so I don't share it very often. In fact, I don't even remember the last time I shared it, but anytime I start talking about my mom, things get a little bit tender. But my mom loved the holidays. Like this week, um, she'd already have everything. The Thanksgiving decorations would be on just full hilt. And Thanksgiving traditions were always on full tilt. It's just like, wow, Mom, that's a lot of fall decor. um, I mean, we ate off the Thanksgiving china, then the Christmas china, and we had the little salt and pepper shakers that were a pilgrim and a turkey. And my mom was, she was the best at traditions. She was the best at being able to decorate and have you experience all that the holiday had to offer. Anybody got a mom like that? Well, some of you know that it's been now almost 20 years that my mom fought the fight and then ultimately got her glory seat in heaven when she got to join Jesus after a battle with breast cancer. And it's this week that I just get a little extra tender because Stacy puts out all the stuff and the house looks great and it's all decorated to the hilt and to the tilt, but not like Mom. And I don't know about you, if you have apprehension towards what's coming on Thursday, you want to be with the people you're about to eat with. You don't want to be with the people you're about to eat with. You feel forced to be with the people that you have to eat with. But my mom would always do this thing at Thanksgiving. And it's just, as a young boy, you're kind of like, oh, this is the worst. But it's the very tradition now we do as a family. And we take time to go around the table. Hey, what are you thankful for? Hey, share about something or someone you're grateful for. And when you're little, you're like, I do not want to talk about my sister because. But now it's easy to talk about my sister. And it's easy to be able to share the wonderful things that I'm thankful for. And on this Thanksgiving week, in the remembrance of loss, because my mom's not here, she got to go to heaven before all of us, got a head start. There's emotions with that. Just as there will be emotions this Thursday when you're on your way or where you're about to host or you're about to serve or you're about to eat, and the traditions fall short or something happens or you got that crazy uncle who brings up something. And there's just, holidays can be awkward. And so this is my pre-holiday message and encouragement to you because I want to share 3 gratitude discoveries with you that are linked to 3 prayers and practices that we can put into play this week. Are you ready for them? Here's my first one, is that gratitude lifts. That gratitude should lift. God uses thankfulness to raise your heart when life feels heavy. I mean, let's just practice my tradition when I was a little boy. And would you just, this is going to be awkward, especially if you don't know who you're sitting next to, just tell that person within 10 seconds why you're thankful for them. And if you don't know them, just say, I'm thankful I get to now meet you. So just turn to somebody and just tell them why I'm thankful, why I'm thankful, why I'm thankful. I'm thankful I'm married to you. I'm thankful I get to go be in the same church with you. Thankful for you. Okay, calm down. Some of you married people are going a little too romantic there. Like, this is no PDA. Wow. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. Did that thankful gratitude that was shared toward you tear you down and put you low in the dumps? Or did it kind of help lift your spirit just a touch? You see, affirmation and authenticity in what's shared should do so. It should lift us. And I want to be a people, a community that is just practicing this on a regular basis, that we can be grateful for each other. And man, I'm sorry if we haven't done that enough. I'm sorry if we don't say that enough. I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for the person that's next to you, behind you, in front of you. Gratitude should lift our spirits. And I know that all of us would be able to say, yes, I need that more. In light of all that's going on, we could all use a little bit more lift. Spiritual lift. I'll leave that there. Friends, I want to encourage you today that God is close in the chaos. God is close in the crisis. God is close in the circumstances. Just as he was there for my sister and for my dad and our family when my mom passed, as tragic and as challenging as that is, God was there. And the comfort that you need in those moments is I can't even come up with the words. But as Paul, the apostle, says that his grace is sufficient when you need it most. And that we would be more aware of, oh, that's a grace download on that. That is a sufficient grace in this. That there's this amazing ability that the Spirit comes and he pours out his grace when you need it the most. And I just recognize with a group this big, I mean, it could just be even just this front row, we would just know that there is family dysfunction. Well, maybe not your family, but there's just so much going on in families that some of us don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Some of us like, we need therapy. We need counseling. We need deliverance. We need intercession. We need a lot. And I wonder if you'd be the gratitude ambassador to help lift your family this holiday. You know, God models this for us, and I want to show you our first passage in Psalm 34. We have David, who's gone through a lot of crisis, a lot of challenges. Before he was even king, a lot going on. And look what he says in Psalm 34, verse 18 and 19. For the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue some of the time. The beautiful thing about Psalms, and let me just jump off for a moment and say a slight tangent. If you're like wondering, what do I read? The Bible's so big, there's 66 chapters, and there's just so much. There's old, there's new, and some's concealed, and some's revealed, and I don't know these characters, what's going on? Why don't you just open up to the middle and just read the Psalms? Because the Psalms have a unique ability to be able to catch us in trouble and triumph, in suffering, and in all the sadness. But the Psalms speak. And so if you need a word this week, open up the Psalms. But back to this one. The Lord is close, intimate, near to the brokenhearted. All of us have at some point been or will be brokenhearted. And he says he rescues those whose spirits are crushed. And the righteous person faces many troubles, not just a couple, but the Lord comes to the rescue each time. As you're beginning to let that just soak into your spirit today, when life gets heavy, gratitude feels small, almost like ridiculously small, like a feather small. Like life's too heavy, and I just can't keep lifting. But that's kind of how gratitude works. It's small, it's light, but it's a simple reminder that God is near, even when our hearts are heavy. And I want to encourage us on this November day, back to Psalm 34:18, that God runs toward the brokenhearted, not away. This is a wonderful promise because if you feel like you're far, far away from God, maybe it's time to stop running because you'll never be able to outrun him. He is close to the brokenhearted. He's near to those who are crushed in the spirit, and he is running towards you, not away from you. It reminds me in the New Testament of Luke chapter 15. Many of you know this famous parable, right? You've got the prodigal, this guy who squandered everything, takes off and tries to live life, and he just blows it. And then he decides after nothing's working out that he's going to come home. And on his way home, we see this beautiful picture in Luke 15. We're not going to go there because you probably know the story, but let me just illustrate it. Papa sees son, the prodigal, the rebellious, the oh my goodness. And when he sees him, he just sits back and just with critical, judgmental eyes, I hope he never comes to this porch again. This is not the story. We know actually the story is that the prodigal's father sees the son from a distance, and Papa puts on his running shoes, and he starts going towards his boy. It's a picture that God runs to us, toward us. He's not afraid of your stank. He's not afraid of your rebellion. He's not afraid of your sin. He's not afraid of your stuff. He's not afraid of your circumstances. He's not afraid of your chaos. He's not afraid of your crisis. The Father runs toward us. This is a wonderful truth that we should not be intimidated by or get defensive with. Oh my, the Father's coming. Oh no, Papa's coming. Oh, you want to run back. You want to run toward. You want to embrace. And the rest of the story is pretty wonderful. I'll let you read it as a homework assignment. But I mean, we're talking about rings, robes, feasts, a lot of good things. But ultimately, it's not those things. It's about the reunited. It feels so good. It's about the reconciliation. It's about the intimacy. It's about coming back to home, coming back to Papa, coming back to the Father. And some of us need to be flying instead of flapping toward God because He's coming toward you anyways. The Father runs toward. You see, the enemy wants trouble to isolate you, but God uses it to draw near you. Have you ever thought about that with your trial, your circumstances, your challenges, your suffering, your stuff, your diagnosis? I feel so isolated. And that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to pick you off, and he wants to be able to isolate you into, I'm the only one. Nobody else is going through this. I'm just going to go in the backyard and dig up worms. But that's what the enemy, the opposer, wants to do, is isolate and pull you back and away from community. But God is saying, I'm drawing near to you. I want to come close to you. Friends, you are never abandoned in your battles. You're not just like, I'm out here all by myself, just going for it. All you got to do is look up or look behind, and you know that the Almighty is right there. And hopefully you know that there's also a community of believers and co-soldiers that are with you in this as well. So with this first one, that gratitude lifts, I want to give you a gratitude practice this week, okay? Now, this is a little bit Jimmy Fallon, kind of writing the thank you note thing, but it's something that we could put into practice, and I want to be very practical. So here's a prayer and a practice for this first one. And the prayer goes like this. Get ready. It's so profound. It's very large, but it's very simple. Lord, thank you for being close. Even here, right here. Thank you for being close. Could you, if you're wondering what to pray, just thank the Lord, thank the Papa, thank God for being close, being near. And maybe tomorrow you start the day free, not frayed. Start the day with, He's near, so I don't have to panic. He's close, and so He's lifting me up out of my fraydness, out of my worriedness, out of my whateverness. And He's lifting us and is inviting us to do so. Emily Dickinson, the American poet from the 1800s, she said, gratitude turns the smallest light into a sunrise. Gratitude should turn something small into something bigger. And so I encourage us to practice it. Let's be gratitude ambassadors this week and lift people up, just as Jesus was lifted up on a cross to die for our sin and shame and to remove it and take it away, so we would then be lifted up into a whole new life, into whole new possibilities. Okay, number two. Number two today, not only does gratitude lift, but gratitude shifts. It changes your focus from what's missing to what God is doing. And we need mindset adjustments. We need perspective changes. We need shifts. It's okay to shift. And some of us are still stuck in neutral. And we got to get into forward, 1, 2, 3, and into turbo when it comes to gratitude. Colossians 3, verse 2 says, set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Man, a lot of us, I'll just speak for me. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Man, I get a little bit Oscar the Grouch sometimes. It's like grumpy, focused on the things that are just what I see, feel, and if I can't get my 5 senses met to the hilt, I get a little bit kind of and I don't rep Jesus well. And it's just a reminder that gratitude can shift us to a new perspective towards looking to Him and the things above instead of just the things that drag us down. Now, I want to show you a passage in James. James is the first pastor in Jerusalem. He's brother of Jesus, and he can say these things, okay? And it comes with a lot of backdrop that I can't provide today in context, but you'll get the point. In James chapter 1, verse 2, he says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Man, James, take it easy. But remember, James is the one who saw his brother crucified. James is his first pastorate in Jerusalem, and things maybe were going pretty well because the Spirit of God was on things, but they also might have been tenuous. There might have been some tough stuff going on. There's obviously some tough stuff going on because he's telling his church, he's telling the people, hey, sometimes I wish I could just say this to somebody. I'll just say it to myself so it doesn't seem like I'm saying it to you. But I was like, sometimes it's like, could you just consider it pure joy? My brother, my sister, when you're facing these trials, yeah, but Greg, you don't know the trials. I mean, we could just take this side of the room and we could just do a sum total of add up all the trials and we'd be quickly overwhelmed. And then when we take yours, no way, we don't have time. We don't have the emotional bandwidth. We can't take up all these trials. And you're right, we can't. But we can consider it pure joy because we know that Jesus can handle our trials. He can handle our stuff. You know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You want your faith to grow, get ready for the trial to grow through. We got to be willing to be able to face some stuff, to be able to grow up in some stuff. God is shaping you and me in the strain. I mean, that's one perspective. It's one shift. I mean, James 1 is like trials grow perseverance, trials grow depth, trials grow maturity. And look, I'm not trying to preach at you. I'm talking with you because I know sometimes it's tough. There's hard things. But trouble does not define you. It refines you. And that's how we got to look at it. That's the shift. Is this trouble going to define me? Is this divorce going to define me? Is this broken relationship going to define me? Is this bankruptcy going to define me? Is this prodigal situation with my kids going to define me? Is this... Instead of shift it, oh God, would you refine me because of this so that I'm all that I need to be for your glory and for your gain? Instead of being stuck in some kind of like victim mentality, like I just can't get out of this stuck spot of I'm defined by my crisis. I'm defined by my past. I'm defined by my circumstances. I'm always just defined by the negative. Get out of that. Stop it. Let Jesus, through the power of the Holy Spirit, refine you. No, I mean, some of you think maybe, well, I'm just stuck. I'm stuck. Instead of maybe thinking you're stuck, could you maybe look at it as you're being strengthened? Stuck or strengthened? Or trapped in a back room and I just can't get out. I'm trying to escape my parents. I'm trying to fly free. I'm stuck back here. Somebody rescue me. It's not defining you. It's refining you. You're going to be good. Trust your parents. We got any violin players? Anybody play the violin? Okay, that's close. It has strings. It's an instrument. I was going to ask Karen if I could borrow her guitar, and I forgot, so I'm not going to touch it, but that's a guitar right there, and it has strings, like a violin, strings, cello, strings. Only when it is stretched and brought to the brink of snapping does it produce something beautiful. That's a good metaphor right there. I'd go over here and I'd play you a song. Sing us a song, you're the guitar man. Sing us a song tonight. We're all in the mood for a melody. Mm-hmm. Now that's horrible. That is not melody and harmony that should ever come out of somebody's mouth and that you should have to hear. But when you listen to a musician that knows how to like, you're like, wow, the strain isn't punishment. It's tuning. The stretching and the snapping and the plucking and the picking is making something beautiful. God isn't breaking you. He's tuning you. Now, recently, Stacy and I had a pretty special experience. We were down in Mexico, and our hosts invited a local band to come to play music for us. And when I say a local Mexican band, you're going to think mariachis, which I love mariachis, but they were like mariachis on steroids. And one of the guys who came was a 12-string guitar accomplished musician. In fact, what we found out later that he is the best 12-string guitarist in Baja. All of Baja. Baja's big. Do you know Baja? I'm not like all of Baja. And he came and he was closer to me than I am to Stacy, and he played this guitar with such precision and with such stuff. It's like it was amazing. And he was hitting them and plucking them and strumming them and just all this stuff. I'm like, you're going to hurt the strings. Don't hurt the strings. But as he hurt the strings, we heard the magic, the music that just came off the straining and the plucking and the snapping and the busting. And that's kind of a little bit like our lives. That we would be okay to let God stretch us and strain us and pick us and test us. All right, so for all the musicians in the room, does that make sense? All right, but for the non-musicians, let's give an athletic metaphor here. All right? Let's switch out of music department and come over into athletics. PE. I'm on PE people. The weight room. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows that the weight room is where the real growth happens. The very thing that builds strength is resistance. No strain, no strength. No pressure, no power. So I'm personally, I'm a regular lifter. I lift in my mind every day. And I was like, sometimes I just imagine like what's good form and all that kind of stuff, and then how should you do it, and all the things that are involved with lifting. And part of it is you've got to have enough strain on your muscles, enough resistance to be able to build your muscles. You see where I'm going with this? Come on, athletes. Here's my gratitude practice and prayer for this one. Lord, thank you that you're forming something special in me. And you're using resistance, strain to do it. And some of you might not be there yet. And here's the practice. Would you consider this Thanksgiving week thanking God for one person you need to love better? Text them, call them, tell them what you appreciate about them. I dare you. Watch how it will lift them. Watch how it will shift you. And finally, number 3, gratitude lifts, shifts, and gifts. Gratitude gifts. What God gives you becomes what you give to others. Proverbs 11:25 says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Isn't that good? How many are hosting Thanksgiving this week? You opening your home and being hospitable will be refreshing others as you open up into your home. And Proverbs is saying, you will be refreshed. What are you talking about? I mean, I got to do the dishes. I got to clean up. And there's just so much. I'm not talking about that tangible kind of stuff. I'm talking about a deep level, emotional, spiritual thing. Like when you refresh others, you somehow, like, you're refreshed. Put this to the test. Try to help be a gift to somebody and watch how you are gifted in that process. So my buddy just got back from a missions trip, and he goes, right, and he's trying to be a gift to everybody and support and love and care and all that. And as he's doing all that and refreshing them, he comes back and says, I don't know if I did that great a job gifting them because I feel like I got all the gifts. Anybody been on a mission trip? You know what I'm talking about? And this is the beautiful thing about when we refresh others, we become refreshed. Put it into practice. Gratitude gifts. So I'm not a philosopher, but let me just get a credit for a philosopher quote that I want to give you today from a Roman philosopher back in 63 BC. So this is pre-Jesus. Cicero. You know any Cicero fans? 2 of us know about Cicero. Okay. I don't need to go into the history of who Cicero is. Let me just tell you what he says about gratitude. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. Now, see, in Roman culture, virtues were a big deal. And so you'd want to act out these virtues on a regular basis. But it's interesting that Cicero, this philosopher, this lawyer, this person of the day who was pretty wise, he says gratitude is not only the greatest of the virtues, but is the parent of all the other virtues. And if this wise guy says that, maybe we should think about that. Can you believe that God is working while you're waiting? Can you believe that God is working while you're learning to be grateful? Do you believe that God is at work? Do you believe that God exists? 1 Thessalonians 5:18 helps answer this question, like, what's God's will for my life? What should I do? I don't know what to do. I mean, what? 1 Thessalonians 5:18, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. What is God's will for my life? Could it be as simple as this? Be thankful? Wow. So this is the Apostle Paul. He's talking to the churches here in Thessalonica, and he's saying, here's some things you should consider. And I'm going to keep it super simple. You want to know what the will of God is for your life? You want to know what to do? Be thankful. Oh, come on, Paul. There's got to be more. I mean, you got to give me more. Well, how about we put that into practice before we try to do more? The Greek here is eucharisteo. Eucharisteo. And why I struggle to say that is that if you take off the ao, you get Eucharist. And if you don't know what Eucharist is, it's what we do the very first Sunday of every month. It's Lord's Communion. It's Lord's Supper. It's coming to remember his sacrifice, to be grateful for what he's done for us, to feel thankful. But the deeper meaning here of this thankful is to be grateful, to feel thankful, and then to give thanks. All right, so I didn't catch it the first time either. It's to be grateful, which is an internal thing, like I am a grateful person, and I feel thankful as a person. So much so that I'm ready to now give it away. You see what's happening there? It's not only just hog it like I'm a thankful person, I'm so grateful. And you can't share it with anybody. I would contend you possibly are not that grateful or thankful, because a God-following, Christ-following person is one that understands the gift of grace, understands what Jesus has done for us, and then is able to then give that away. The eucharisteo is to be able to give away what Jesus has done for us. He sacrificed for us. We can sacrifice for others. We can be grateful. We can feel thankful. We can give to others. This Thanksgiving, could you be grateful, thankful, and give it away? Be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for your life. Where you see delay, God sees development. There's another shift of thinking, but it's a gift that you're in this, that I'm in this, that we're in this season because something's happening. There's a formation that's happening. There's something, a maturing that's taking place in our lives. And this is why I would, please, don't trade away the season that God has you in, because it's probably the season he needs you to be in to be able to form some things in you to be ready for the next season that you're going to be in. And if you skip that season, you're not going to be really ready for the next season, because that season is going to help this season. So when I was in junior high, I played basketball, baseball, football, all the stuff. But I was a little scrawny, skinny, nothing, like 110 pounds. I was just little. And you're like, wow, how'd you get so big, Greg? I got married, and my wife is an amazing cook, and I don't spend enough time lifting. That's probably what it is. But I was little. I was a little guy. And but my dad played tennis, and we got to play tennis together. And so I fell in love with playing tennis. So much so that my freshman year, I had to decide if I'm going to go to the next level, if I'm going to go all in, if I'm going to focus, if I'm really going to just go for it. And I had to let go of baseball, basketball, football, and all the other stuff, because as a freshman, I wanted to be on the varsity team, and I wanted to play tennis. My ultimate goal is I wanted to play tennis in college, like my dad. And so, how many know that you don't just go from being an 8th grader to being a college tennis player? There's formation. So behind the scenes, I would go to the court by myself with my basket of 100 tennis balls, and I walked there with my racket and my balls and set up this cool little ball contraption thing that caught them all and then puts them up in lifts. Then you just get them. And I would sit there, and day after day, hour after hour, I would work on my mechanics, my kinetics, and my motion and my form and my toss and where it would land. And I would get all geeky about it, and I just would hit 100 balls. And then I'd hit another 100 balls all by myself. No one's watching. And I would get to the spot where, well, I want to be able to hit my serve, and I want to hit that corner deep. I want to hit that inside line short. I want to hit this spin. I want to be able to do all that kind of stuff. And serving the ball one after another, the repetitive, quiet, not glamorous at all. I'm out there all by myself, was doing something. Muscle memory, timing, kinetics, good form. Something was developing over time to where then I got it down to where then when I did face an actual match against an actual competitor, I wasn't freaked out, and I was able to say, I can go to that outside line, and I'm going to spin it, and I'm going to kick it, and I'm going to do all that kind of stuff, and then I'm going to approach because I had practiced. Now, some of us think, well, practice. We don't need to practice. Let's just play the game. We're in the game of life. Let's just go. Friends, part of our spiritual formation is behind the scenes when it's not glamorous and nobody's looking, and you're reading your Bible. Some of it is not just being at Wimbledon, like, look at him, he's so good. You know how he's probably so good? Because he's practiced. And because he's had a personal time of worship. He's probably devoting. He's probably doing some stuff to be able to help him be better in some stuff. Well, the story goes on that my dad was a great mentor, teacher, coach, and played varsity tennis. And then I broke my arm at 17. And I broke my arm so badly that it crushed the elbow part. And I won't get into the details because it's a little bit heebie-jeebie, but I crushed my elbow on my tennis arm. I'm right-handed. So crushed it, and I'm down, and I can't even extend it. So I was broken, and then I had to cast it, put pins in it, surgery, all that kind of stuff. So I'm 17 years old, and I'm walking around with a cast, and my goal, remember, was to go play college tennis. So I'm a junior, getting ready for my senior season, and I'm out. I can't play. Crisis, loss, challenge, trouble, trials. How were you at 17 when you experienced a trial and it deterred or delayed your goals? And then I hear these words echoing of James, consider it pure joy. When these trials are set before you, you can't extend your arm and you can't even play tennis or serve. For this, I believe the comfort and the nearness of God and the power of prayer. Long story shortened, people prayed, and I had a good surgeon, and I was able to get full extension back in my arm and return for the season and play, and then go on to get a scholarship to play college tennis. Now, that's like the good side of the story, but there was practice, there was defeat, there was brokenness, there were pins, there was crush, there was break, there was trouble, there was hard. And sometimes we give up in the hard moments and don't break through to the great glory that God has, because he's working something in and out and through you in those seasons. Now, that's just my personal story. I bet each one of us has some kind of personal story of loss, defeat, challenge, hurt, embarrassment, disappointment, pain. And my encouragement today is that it possibly could be a gift for you to be grateful. What kind of heebie-jeebie, what are you talking about? I'm talking about a biblical perspective. Consider it pure joy when these trials are set before you. When you face these things, it might be for you as a gift to help catapult you. Because every setback is an opportunity for a comeback. And so we get these opportunities, but sometimes we just stay set back and miss the opportunities for a comeback. And this Thanksgiving, I want to encourage us, keep practicing, keep hitting the balls, keep doing what you got to do, stay in it, keep devoting, keep reading, keep worshiping, keep praying, keep steady in the behind-the-scenes moments because God is doing something. And the gratitude practice and prayer for this is, Lord, thank you that you're moving even when I can't see it. And my thought for us is that we would just be more aware of the God sightings. And I know that when you're in the middle of it, broken arm, I don't see you, God. Where are you at in that? Oh, my goodness, the relationship we got to form with the doctor. And then the healing and the testimony that comes with that. I mean, God's sightings are like, where did I see God today? And when did I notice his nearness to me? If we've shut him off to where we can't notice when he's doing something, there's some room for improvement there because he's always on the move. He's moving in us, around us. He's moving in our relationships. He's moving in our kids. He's moving in our grandkids. He's doing some amazing things. And we get to give him credit and notice, whoa, you see that? That was a God signing. You didn't see it? Oh my goodness. When God did that, man, I just want to give him praise. I want to give him thanks. And this Thanksgiving, when you have the opportunity around the table to be able to say, I'm grateful for, please don't make it something like you're grateful for what you've done, what you've accomplished, what you've raised, what you've earned, what you've done, Come on, people of God. Every good gift comes from above. And we wouldn't be here and be able to do anything we do without him. So perhaps we start with a priority of thank you, God, for the gift of air in my lungs. Thank you for the ability to be able to breathe and do what you call me to do. And then you can get to, and thank you for my wife, and thank you for my life, and thank you for the turkey, and thank you. But let's start with the right person. Well, all this with the unfettered theme and the freedom theme is that Christian freedom, I want to speak to you Christians, okay? Us Christians, Christ followers. We love him, we need him, we know we need him. We know that we're more than conquerors, but sometimes we have days that we feel conquered. Christian freedom is not the absence of suffering, but it is the assurance of God's nearness. And gratitude flows out of that. Are you ready for this? It's so simple, but it's like, it flows out of the nearness. His presence in my life helps me to be a more grateful person. And that's why we got to just be assured that even in my suffering, because it's going to happen, many trials, many troubles, it's going to happen. Chronic pain, lifelong stuff. I still will consider it pure joy because, God, you are near me in this. And out of that nearness then flows thankfulness. How many got some work to do? Because I'm like the church in Philippi, and Paul says to them, stop grumbling. Stop complaining. Hi, my name is Greg. I'm a semi-professional grumbler. And I'm in the minor leagues of complaining and complain with the best of them. But Paul, he gets to right in Philippians, you get to chapter 4, verse 4, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. The gift that God gives us is an opportunity for us to be grateful in the situations. I'm not saying to be a martyr. I'm not saying that if you're in a dangerous situation, just stay stuck in it and just take one and be a doormat. I'm saying you look for opportunities for God to be able to show you how to get victory in the situation that he has you in, and that you would experience his nearness. Whoa, God, you're so close in this. Man, I didn't realize that I needed you in this hospital room. I wouldn't have maybe ever felt you unless I was in this hospital room. But now I'm stuck and I'm laid back and I was like, okay, you're here, God. This is actually okay. Or in the desperation, know that you can call out on his name. Because God does lift and he shifts and he gifts. And this Thanksgiving, I think it's going to be a good one. Because our mindset is shifting. So I finish our time today with Big Bird's Big Bad Day. Big Bird's Big Bad Day. Some days are perfect, and some days are okay. But for Big Bird, today was a very bad day. It started off cloudy and dreary and gray, and nobody wanted to come out and play. And then he turns the page and he meets Elmo. And he meets Oscar. And he meets Count Dracula. And he meets Cookie Monster. And he meets Rosita. And he meets Zoe. And now his bad day is turning into a good day. Why? I guess you get to the end of the story. There's Ernie and there's Bert. Some days aren't perfect, so Big Bird had found today had been bad, but his mood turned around. With friends there to sing and to dance and play ball, Big Bird's big bad day wasn't so bad after all. Now, this, friends, is not the gospel. This is not the Bible. But it's a good story because it's a story about turning frowns upside down. Because I do believe that God has given us snuffies, people to enjoy life with, do life with. He's got us in a community of believers. And some of you look and act like Elmo. And some of you are a little bit more like Oscar the Grouch. But we're all on this street, and it's not called Sesame. It's called the journey of faith. It's the Christian walk. And we get to do it together, which makes it better. You see, one yellow feather from the tail of a big bird seems pointless, and I can't fly. But when we put our feathers together, and we know as a community, we certainly can soar because we are better together, and we're better when we know that God's made us in his image to not be a bird, but to be his son and his daughter. So the next time you see someone next to you, thank God for the flock. Thank God for the feathery person next to you, for their personality or their lack of. Because you're not just part of a crowd, you're part of a community, you're part of a family, you're part of a flock. And we need you. We need each feather. We need each of you. Thank God for every feather in this family. Each feather that contributes to the lift, each member that contributes to the mission, that we can be unfettered in this next season.